we started solving equations by looking at a situation and deciding what we were comparing. For example, look at this situation. The cost to attend a football game is $6 for adults and $2 for children. There were 364 tickets sold at the game. If the sales for the tickets, all of the tickets, is $1,348, what was the number of adult tickets and the number of child tickets sold? Seems like an impossible problem because we have two different variables or two things that we're trying to figure out and we don't have answers for either of them. So let's start by looking just at the most important information. So I tell kids that they should ask themselves 3 questions. The first question is, what are we comparing? So you can see that if we look back into our original problem, we are looking, it says, what was the number of adult tickets? So adult tickets is one thing we are comparing. And the number of child tickets. So we're comparing these two. How many did we buy of each one? So you can go back to your question and label that X and Y. So what are we comparing? We are comparing child tickets. And we are going to say that that is going to equal X. And we also need to know how many adult tickets, when we are going to call that Y, just for the sake of trying to figure out what they are and not having to rewrite them all the time. There's some other important information in this problem that we need to know. So the second question I have kids answer is, what are the totals in the problem? If you look back again in the problem, you see the cost to attend a football game is $6 for adults and $2 for children. We know that those are not totals, that's just a price per ticket. However, if you keep reading, the problem says there were 364 tickets sold. So here we know that this is a total of all of the tickets combined. So there's one total right there in the box. And then we keep reading, it says if the sales of the tickets is $1,348. So there's our other total. We know altogether that people spent $1,348. So our totals can come down and equal those amounts. So we're going to set up 2 different equations with our totals. So eventually we're going to have written out an equation here, and we're going to equal that to one of our totals, which is $364. Go ahead and put a dollar sign in there. And then we know our second equation is going to equal the total cost, which was, or the total price that they made, which is $1,348 total dollars. Now we need to figure out what equations fit into those. And I always look back at the problem and decide which one would be the easiest to figure out, just merely by rereading. So the cost to attend a football game is $6 for adults and $2 for children. So we know there's only 2 types of tickets. Oh, I need to remove this dollar sign, because that is not representing dollars, that's representing the number of tickets. So we know that the total number of tickets is 364, and they only give us 2 ticket types. So we know the total of child tickets plus the adult tickets is going to equal our total number of tickets. So this equation easily becomes our child tickets, which we are calling X, plus our adult tickets that we are calling Y, equals a total of 364 tickets. That's what the problem gave us. So there's one of our equations filled in. Our second equation, we're trying to figure out the cost of each. So we still have the same variables. We still know that there's a certain number of child tickets sold, and there's a certain number of adult tickets sold, which will help us get to our total of $1,348. So then we have to go back and look, okay, what other factor goes into the second equation that we still need more information? Because it's no longer just the total of, or the number of tickets sold, it's now the cost. So in the question mark spots, we're going to go in and tie in our cost to help us get to the total price of $1,348. So looking back at the problem, we know that the total cost for adult tickets was $6. So right here it tells us it was $6 for adults and $2 for children. So we have to go in and add that into our spot to get our total cost. So we're going to come down here and say we know $6, so it's 6 times the total number, or sorry, $2 was the cost of child tickets. We know we're going to sell, we don't know how many we're selling of those yet, so we're just going to leave the child tickets as an X, which we compared in the first question. And we're going to add that to the total number, or the cost, of adult tickets, which was 6, and then Y, and then we just have our equal sign for 1,348. So our problem here is completely set up. We haven't gone over how to solve equations with two variables in them yet. So at this point, this is where we're going to stop. We're only asking you to write equations to solve these problems, not actually to solve them at this point. That will be our next step. So for this problem, our two equations, we have the number of child tickets plus the number of adult tickets equals 364 total tickets. And then we know in order to find the cost, we have to multiply that by how much the tickets individually were costing people. So we've got our $2 children tickets, which is our 2X, plus our $6 adult tickets, which is 6Y, equals the total cost that people spent that day at the football game, which is $1,348.